Hi everyone, it's Jess here from the Scrappy Sisters, and thank you for joining me for a Kitaholic Kits design team layout. So for this super gorgeous layout, I started by cutting some of the strips off the cut apart sheet. So the little love heart strip, the rainbow diagonal strip were all off the cut apart sheet, and then I cut approximately about 1 inch off some of the other pattern paper. I didn't measure it. I did want them to be a little bit unevenly sized. Then I got my scissors and I really roughed up the edges. Cocoa vanilla paper is beautiful for distressing. It just is so thick and gorgeous that it makes such a wonderful distressed edge. It doesn't tear all that easily. It just roughs up so well. So I just went in at it with my scissors. Then once I stuck all of the different rows down with just a little bit of tape to make sure it had stuck in place, I then pulled out my sewing machine and just did a simple white stitch all the way down the center of each one of these strips again. So that's really going to hold it in place as well. So I didn't need to worry. I didn't want too much double-sided tape because that may make the needle get all sticky and gross when I was trying to stitch with it, but I did want just enough to hold it in place as I went through the stitching machine. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch all those up, and once that is all done, then I will excuse me, adhere down my photos. So I'm popping my photos up on foam. I've got 2 photos from my wedding photo shoot that I will be using. One here and one here. I matted my photo with the plain white matte, and then I also used just a teensy tiny bit of, I guess it's technically the scrap part of the wood grain border, the bit that was on the inside. I just stuck a little tiny corner underneath the bottom photo in the bottom right, and a little tiny corner of it in the top photo in the top left, just to add a little bit more to the matte of each photo. I absolutely considered matting the photos with more pattern paper, but I've got a lot of layouts I want to make with this divine collection, and I'm trying to spread my paper over about 25 layouts, so I do have to be a little bit careful with how much paper I use on each layout. And I'm kind of going for this white crisp look as well, to go with the wedding dress idea. I do use some other full pages that aren't white, like that beautiful wood grain coming up, so keep a lookout for that. But in general, I'm trying to keep the sort of white fresh feel that matches in with the wedding concept. Now, in terms of my embellishments, they're kind of going to go so I've got the horizontal lines of paper, then I've got my 2 photos, then my embellishments are going to sort of fall down in that same vertical line straight down from the top. So I'm kind of going to end up with a little bit of a cross feel on the page. It's not going to be as, the vertical embellishments are not going to be as sort of strong and forceful as those horizontal pattern papers, but the general feel, mood and feel of that will be there. Have you cracked into your kit yet? You haven't had it for that long yet, only a week or so. I am loving this collection. I definitely had a moment where I just sat and stared at how beautiful it was, and I couldn't get started because I didn't want to cut anything. It's actually why I started with this particular layout in my mind, because I didn't need to sort of cut into too many pieces of paper in a big way. Just little tiny slithers, it hurt less. But I just love it, and I love the way it's coming together. I feel like you could just throw embellishments on the page and glue them wherever they landed, and your layout would be beautiful. It is just so divine to work with. I don't think you can go wrong. I really don't. So I'm just playing with how I want this little cluster to go. I'm definitely going to put these 3 bits, the moth, the text, the flower and the heart. I'm just trying to figure out exactly how I want to lay those together, so each one sort of gets its own highlight, but again, as a cluster, they all work together. I pop up the moth or the butterfly on some foam, but I just adhere the other pieces. The beautiful you is also popped up on foam, but the flower and the love heart, I'm just going to glue with wet glue because of the texture and the different dimension on my paper. I want to make sure that it adheres to at least part of that, but I don't want to squish the paper down flat. So I just used a little bit of wet glue, and that'll just grab on somewhere onto the page. My title this time round, I'm obviously using that super big beautiful word, beautiful, and then you can see already over on the left hand side that I'm going to use the little Pink Fresh Studio words to write a and walk, so a beautiful walk, because obviously that's what is happening in these photos. I mentioned to my sister when I decided to use this collection to make my wedding album that titles are going to be really tricky when you're not just doing the wedding vows or the kiss or walking down the aisle or something like that. All these photo shoot photos that are just a little bit the same are going to be quite challenging to come up with enough different titles for those. But I'll deal with that as it comes, I suppose. So I've just popped on some gold Heidi Swap Color Shine and now some navy. And the navy came out a lot more large and a lot larger splatters than the gold did. I'm almost out of gold, so we'll have to be careful with that for next time. I might crack into my new one just so I can get a similar size of the splatters. But here are the close-ups, and I just love it. So thank you so much for watching. Please make sure you stick around for the other layouts that you'll see from me this month. They'll be here on this YouTube channel or shared in the Facebook group. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.